Hi, I did my score presentation on the piece An American Elegy, composed by Frank Tichelli, commissioned by the Columbine Commission Fund, and first played by the Columbine High School Concert Band. An American Elegy was composed by Frank Tichelli in April of 1999. It was made as a response and in honor of those who lost their lives at the Columbine shooting. It was performed only a month after the tragic event happened, and it was played at Columbine's band concert. This piece shows a lot of musical expression throughout and honors the school with some of their own melodies included in the piece. The form of An American Elegy is very interesting. There's a lot going on, a lot of stuff that Frank Tichelli added himself. It starts off with the introduction for 14 bars, the main theme for the next 15, the episode comes in at measure 31, and then the main theme returns in measure 47. Then we finally get the second theme, and as well as a secondary key area in measure 63. We get a 4-part canon in measure 97. We get a climax of the piece in measures 111 to 113. And then we finally hit the bridge, which leads into the variation of a second theme. And then we get the bridge following one more time to the main theme or the closing statement of the piece. The introduction of the piece starts with the low sections of the ensemble droning, holding a note out as a pedal tone. And this drone slowly works its way up through the ensemble before we finally get a taste at the main theme just before hitting measures 15. The main theme pops up repeatedly throughout the piece. The section is predominantly led by the horn section for this time around, and the visualization that I had for this is that the section is, because of the beauty and repetition throughout the piece, can symbolize peace and tranquility. It comes up in different places because we are reminded that with anything bad happening, no matter what it is, peace and tranquility will be there for anyone to find. In other words, it's giving us hope that we will find peace. The next section is the episode, and this section is very lulling as the melody rises and falls with each note that is played. Along with this, there are swells happening dynamically, which aid the feel of rising and falling in the short one-bar phrases. These phrases do repeat, but they are nonetheless one-bar phrases. My visualization for this section is that it can be seen as peace after the storm, quote unquote. It is listed as a dreamlike feel, and it's expressed by the horn section, trombones, euphoniums, and saxophones. Following this, we have the second theme, which is just after the main theme. Once the main theme is repeated again after the episode, the second theme begins. The second theme starts in the beginning key, or the primary key, which is B flat, but it switches to a secondary key, which is D flat. The first big thing to notice is that this oboe solo is a variation on the main theme. Following the oboe solo in measure 79, we get the first grand part of the piece in which the bass sections carry a pedal melody and have the main theme themselves. Following this grand section of the second theme, we begin to finish with a calm and quiet alto saxophone solo. Finally, we finish in another dream-like section where we have beautiful chords that overlap each other for dissonance. The next section following the second theme is the 4-part canon. This section consists of flute 1, clarinet 1, horn 1, and the euphonium. Despite this section being lyrical, and there's not much challenging technically, especially with the ensemble, the conductor has to make sure that the sound's balanced over these 4 differing instruments. This becomes especially difficult once they begin gaining supportive harmonies from other instrumental sections. My visualization for this is that it can symbolize everyone coming together to mourn and begin rebuilding both materialistically and mentally. The climax is the next section, and this is where Frank Tichelli got creative. He added this part into the composition because he wanted to commemorate Columbine and honor their name and culture. He added the climax to this piece because it's Columbine's alma mater. My visualization for this is pretty straightforward. Working in the mindset of Frank Tichelli, we can see why he made this the climax. He wanted to show that even with horrific tragedy and the loss of many innocent young lives, the school is still there. He wanted to show hope throughout the piece to this point, and finally, once you arrive here, you realize that you still have the best rebuilder of anything, and that is that everyone is working together as a community. Following the last section, we have the variation on the second theme. It is just after a saxophone bridge, which finds itself set up from a perfect authentic cadence to start this new melodic line. This section is famously known for the offstage trumpet solo. It is said that the presence of the trumpet melody should be hidden, quote unquote, finding a place for the trumpet player to play and make it seem like the sound is coming from nowhere, but also everywhere. This may seem confusing, but basically, the trumpet needs to be somewhere where the sound will carry so that the audience can hear it, but it should almost sound muffled and sound like it is slowly filling the auditorium or concert hall. The difficult part of this section comes with balance, and it's when the trumpet is playing with the underlying chords in the ensemble, and the other hard part of this is the conductor giving downbeats to the ensemble to match up with the trumpet. The conductor should allow the trumpet to play this as a true solo, or what some might consider a cadenza. The conductor needs to feel, along with the ensemble, the downbeats themselves based off of the trumpet soloing because the trumpet is not with them. My visualization for this section is that it's a true honor and memory of the ones who were lost on this tragic day. I like to think of this section like Taps, the famous military piece, but this time specifically written for an American elegy. Now we come to the first true bridge. Although short, this section still has a lot of meaning and a lot of musicality involved. The oboe takes over for the short section from the trumpet solo and should blend in from the dying sounds of the trumpet. It's meant to bridge the trumpet solo with the closing statement, which comes right after this. My visualization for this section is that it's bridging those who were lost to those who survived, as well as those who support and mourn. It really is a beautiful melodic line that was well placed to show we are all in this together. Finally, we have the closing statement. The main theme makes its final return throughout this section. In measures 138, we reach the pre-grand finale, and I have that in parentheses, and you see why in just a moment. I say this because in measure 146, we reach a dynamic high at fortissimo, whereas in measure 138, we were still at forte. Finally, in measure 153, the horns give us our final send-off with the last time we hear the main theme of this piece. The visualization for this is very powerful, and it's that everything comes together in this section. We get closure and return, as well as the grandeur of something that we've already heard in the main theme, and we're ready to overcome, honor, and remember. The final horn melody gives us a noble send-off to those lost and a grand finale to those who survived or lost people. This is the recording that I have. You can find it on YouTube and Spotify, and there's many, many, many recordings on YouTube and Spotify of this piece. This was an absolutely tragic day, and one that will never be forgotten by any American or anyone around the world. However, Frank Tichelli took what was an absolute tragedy and turned it into honor and commemoration to those who were lost on this day, and to show strength in those who survived and those who are still mourning and getting over their losses. What he did was absolutely beautiful, and he was able to interpret his own mindset of what happened into this beautiful composition of a piece, as well as including Columbine High School's alma mater, which is a very creative way of sending off everyone from who remembers and who took part in this day. This is my score presentation on An American Elegy by Frank Tichelli. Thank you.